Hello, Nicolas Steiger.
Good morning, Ari. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you. So you should introduce to everyone a little bit who you are in case they don't know.
I'm sure they don't know who I am. My name is Nicolas Steiger. I'm the co-founder and director of FlashFX, a payments company that runs on Ripple in Australia.
That's great. And you've been a long time Ripple partner, haven't you?
Yeah, like we've started engaging with Ripple 3-4 years ago and been operating with the Ripple solution for the past 3 years. Initially, we started off with using Ripple technology, mainly with IOUs. To facilitate some of our payments. And then sort of 12 months ago, open up with more XRP payments. And last year back at Swell, or just before Swell, we announced that we're opening up our first ODL corridor to the Philippines. And later in December, have opened up a Aussie-US corridor to Bitstamp. So we were on the Ripple journey for a long time.
Did you actively pursue those channels or did they come and ask you?
Ripple have asked us. I mean, the way it's been going, or the focus initially has been on Mexico as a recipient of remittance payments. The next one was the Philippines. So Ripple have specifically been looking for flows into those destinations. So we're looking at expanding also the Philippines. It's a corridor that we haven't been actively pursuing, but given what we know and been using with Ripple Tech, very happy with that corridor. And then the next one that we wanted is with the Aussie-US. So that's sort of a specific use case that we have in Australia with lots of our users and clients looking to send US dollars quickly to Bitstamp. So that's something we've been doing for a long time.
So when you talked to Ripple and someone approached you, was it like somebody from the sales team or would it be a name we know?
Look, we were engaging with a number of levels within Ripple. For a long time, engaging with people in San Francisco and New York, but most recently, last 12, 18 months, more and more with people based in Singapore. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of a team effort. Mm-hmm. Where they come to Australia, they review our setup and review, get a better understanding of the market. And it wasn't necessarily a given that Australia is sort of high up there in the list of countries that we open up with ODL. So this all has taken time to sort of put together, and there's a good pipeline of new destinations or origination countries that will open up soon. And when the time is ready and those organizations and businesses are ready, then I'm sure Ripple will make the necessary announcements.
Yeah, we won't push you to tell us where those are, but maybe you can give us like some sort of clue. But I think I came up with 10 questions for you, and I do want to know more about the NPP, the new payments platform that Australia has. I understand it was an initiative put forth by banks initially, but what actually drove that change for Australia, and how is it to integrate with them?
Yeah, look, so it's the Reserve Bank and the banks that's formed that. It's been a project that's been going on for a long time. It's been released, a bit more than a year ago, and more and more banks are now using NPP. Mm-hmm. So it's been a slow sort of rollout, but like where the world is going, domestically and internationally, is just to have faster payments, faster settlements. Not defined by 9 to 5, but open 24/7, and it's pretty much what NPP can do. So you have a more real-time experience. You can expand what information can be passed on in a message. It's just an improvement that was needed, and similar to what you have in other jurisdictions.
Yeah, does it seem stable and people are happy with what was built out?
Yeah, I think it's stable. It works. The platform, is operational. Various banks have different limits in terms of how an individual or business can use it. What is the minimum amount that can be sent, etc. And just it will take time, and adoption will certainly increase. The issue that from a fintech point of view has been sort of really how can you integrate and make this real time. And most of the banks, will not make an API available or very restrictively an API available that becomes a seamless experience. And we've sort of been lucky enough to have found a partner that we're sort of proceeding on that pathway to make local payments. That's payments to us, or we can make payments for ourselves or partners that we work with using NPP.
Yeah. So when if I understand correctly, Ripplenet is a layer that sits on top of NPP?
No, it's two separate networks.
Two separate networks. Okay.
Two separate networks, and all FlashFX is we. It sort of sits next to each other.
Okay.
So it's just a conduit, from Ripplenet into Australia. So when funds come in, we, can then receive the message. We know who the sender recipients are. We make the necessary, compliance checks, etc. And then, payment then can be passed on, or those details can be passed on to the bank for processing.
So how long did it take you to actually get set up? Once you decided then you were going to run that side-by-side rail next to NPP, from the time of decision to the time you were actually using it, how long did that take?
Look, I think it's been a long time to kind of get the right partner, and it's an ongoing project to really make that more seamless, to improve how we can for our clients receive payments. And it's also like previously you have a BSP, an account number, like a routing and account number equivalent, and now you can make a payment to an email, you can make a payment to a phone number or like a company number. So just getting people to understand that we don't need just a BSP and account number, but they can actually use any sort of string to make a payment.
Yeah.
So I think it will take time domestically to explain to users, everyday individuals, how it works. So it's called a pay ID. A pay ID used as part of NPP can be an email, can be a phone number, like a mobile phone number, an ADN. It's not just a BSP and account number.
Any QR codes?
It's coming. It's coming. I think yes. I think that's a further rollout. I'm not quite sure when exactly that will be available, but I think it's an actual evolution of that. At the moment, it's a push message in terms of push payments, but we understand that at some time in the future it can be a pull. So I can sort of request from someone, and then they can approve that we can, sort of direct debit authorization.
So I'm a really visual person. I'm curious, are you doing all of this like operations at a control center just in front of a PC? Is that you just use a PC to do this?
Yes, so we are,
you don't have these big levers or anything.
No, it's all, like we've built FlashFX as 100% cloud-based business, native. We don't have any servers or anything like that. It's all about the automation. You might start initially with something less automated, but like for us to really succeed and proceed with the business and connect to entity, connect to Ripple and other partners, it's all about the automation and the error handling. So yes, it's all there's no paperwork or anything involved. It's
but I mean, you don't have to learn how to code. I mean, you could hire someone who has a college degree, but could be in the arts, and you could train that person how to do a transfer.
A transfer, like as an individual or as part of FlashFX?
As an employee.
As an employee.
Yeah.
I'm sure, with the required skills, there's a number of skills that we need, coding based and, understanding of, financial markets and how it works. And, there's so many aspects of technology, surrounding Ripple. Ripple is just, one element of what's required. There's anti-money laundering requirements, KYC, compliance, all of that has to sort of be in a certain sequence to make sure we fulfill our obligations.
Check the boxes.
That this is automated and works, and, process involved around, when something goes wrong or we have missing information, sort of how that sort of happens. And it's an ongoing learning curve, and, you do something, it doesn't work, you improve and retest and go. So we've been on this journey with Ripple for 3 years, and I know you will ask me around, how long did it take you to integrate into ODL? And it's a question I can't answer because it's been an evolution for us. We didn't start from zero and had no Ripple knowledge. So for us, it was a 2 or 3 year project that's been going on. We make ongoing improvements and using new services, and what we've initially used, no one else had used that technology, and that was sort of our problem, that we could never connect with other payment provider because we were so far in the extreme in how we've been using Ripple tech. It's not even an official product. So we sort of had to go back to ODL. So we can connect to, other Ripplenet users.
So who's your favorite Ripplenet user out there?
Well, that's 300 of them out there.
Yeah. And you know them all, don't you? You must have the list.
Look, whatever is publicly available.
You don't have to tell me, but you must have the list, right?
No, it's look, it's more a question. You still have to, connect with those participants, and it comes back to like what is the business that you have? What are the flows? To the US or Europe or the UK, and like where is there a mutual benefit in terms of you do payments for us, we do payments for you. That sort of, it's not that we can connect to 300 because they're different business sizes, payments, etc. So it's all about finding the right business that you can connect to. So that's that's how it happens for us. Sort of we now expanding the list of companies on Ripplenet that we can help. And sort of help each other and have that sort of network grow.
So you're really lucky because you're in a position where you are a Ripplenet user in Australia. So if somebody has a need to work with Australia, you're the go-to guy.
We hope so. Yeah. So that's that's pretty much what we're trying to do for people that have payments coming into Australia. That's with our partnership with Ripple, that we can receive those payments into Australia, and then through our integration with NPP to offer real-time distribution. Like we are engaged with a number of banks, larger banks, smaller banks, payments providers, other MSPs, and their current solution might be T+2, it might be same day, and you say, look, now I can offer you real time, and that's a game changer for them. To wanting to change their current setup, which might not be as advanced or as fast as they want it to be. And so we're really pushing into that space of becoming a correspondent party on Ripple for local Aussie distributions.
Yeah, it makes sense. So if you are the go-to guy and somebody else in Australia wants to also offer these same kinds of tools, can you set them up as well? I mean, do you help other smaller banks and credit unions use Ripplenet technology, or would they go directly to Ripple to get that access?
Yeah, it's sort of a bit of conundrum. Some of them might be able to build it themselves or have the knowledge to do so, the teams, and others say, look, it's a credit union or even a digital neobank who is saying, look, I've built a new bank, focusing on transactional accounts, lending, but these financial markets product is really outside of my realm. Either I'm buying a product or I'm buying a provider, or I can integrate with someone like FlashFX, and then we become the conduit. For us, that's a B2B relationship where the ultimate end customer of that credit union doesn't know that we exist. We're just the infrastructure provider connecting that local Australian bank on Ripple to various destinations.
Right. It becomes an added service for you. So again, lucky for you. Okay, let me take a look really quick at my questions and see what I have here. So the other one was we hit the setup time. So when you source liquidity for the Philippine corridors, I assume that you are getting into a pile of XRP that's held on coins.ph. That was a question. And then the second part of that is also with USD. I assume you're using Bitstamp. And so you are probably going and getting into their pile of XRP. So, but I think everybody's kind of curious how that exactly works.
No, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to explain that. So we have BTC markets in Australia as our current exchange that provides Aussie XRP liquidity. They have external market makers that make a market on
Can
BTC
I ask a question?
markets.
Yeah, I want to I don't want to interrupt, but the market maker thing just is a huge, big curiosity and mystery for me. Do you know who those market makers are? I mean, just not their company names, but do you actually communicate with them? Not on the phone anymore, probably all email communication, right?
No, that's it's all online. Like they, think of it as NASDAQ, and you have a number of institutional investors or companies that make a market for a stock. They put in
so you see a list of prices.
Exactly, they put in liquidity, and all we do is access the liquidity they put in using BTC markets. So we know a lot of them. They use our services for outside of BTC markets, but they put in orders into that local exchange to convert Aussie to XRP. And then once that's been converted, the XRP are sent. So that's all of this conversion happens off ledger. So there is nothing you can sort of see. That's all happens on the exchange. Then the XRP are being sent on ledger to either coins.ph or Bitstamp or any other ODL connected exchange or destination. And then the same thing happens again. You have on those exchanges, you have a variety of external market makers that have that order book available to sort of convert that XRP back into local currency for an end user in Australia, wherever that might be. For them it's a fiat conversion. I'm sending Aussie, it arrives in PHP. What happens in between, is none of their concern. It's just, we have an agreement with them that we're going to deliver a certain amount of PHP or a certain amount of US dollars, and that's what we're going to do.
You don't see their actual XRP quantity. I mean, actually, how many they have available, do you?
Well, anyone can see that on the local exchange. You see, their order book.
But they're not, okay, but okay, I understand how the order book visually looks, but I mean, do you actually see their entire inventory, or are they just no?
No.
No.
I mean, no. I think that's if you can see the inventory, or like if they put in markets or bid and asks that you have on the exchange, but like you don't see what's there, and they have automated systems. Like if bigger amounts are being asked, or that more flow is going through, that they can increase the liquidity that is required to be put out in the market. So that's all happens, pretty much automatically.
So if you walk into doing transactions for a day where the liquidity is high, where there's a lot of flow, if there's a lot of flow, then do you see the price of XRP then go down? Usually,
I don't think that it's sort of, I know there's some discussions around, well, like you buy one exchange, you sell the other, so you have sort of two-way flows. I don't think I can make a link to more activity driving the price down. Because at the end of the day, all that XRP is a digital asset. It's used to solve the use case of moving money. It's the ability that is the value.
Yeah, I'm just always trying to figure the market makers are setting those prices for you on a wholesale side, basically. So I'm just wondering what drives their motivation when they have to bump up the price. I would imagine it's because the increase is higher for the demand. But if there's a lot of flow and there's a lot of demand, then to be competitive, those market makers are competing against each other and they're trying to get the best price. They want your transaction to go across their books. So they probably are moving the price down a little bit. But those spreads are very tight, or are they sometimes not so tight?
Look, I think in all of those audio-enabled exchanges, the prices have to be tight in order to, at the end of the day, for the end consumer or for us, it is a somewhat a fiat payment, and if the prices are not tight, and it wouldn't work otherwise. So they have to be tight. A market maker wants to have tight pricing, but in doing so, have an expectation of flows, coming through. So they, it's a beast that needs feeding, and you need flows to go through so they can, generate the difference.
So who's got the best prices out there?
Look, I'm not going to go in there. For us, it's there's so many different people with different viewpoints, and how they see the market evolve, their use case, what they're trying to get out of it. For us, we use Ripple, we use XRP as a digital asset because for us it's also use case around the speed, the transaction costs, everything that comes with it, with the support we get from Ripple. And that's sort of really what we have been building on. Other people might just kind of look, it's just using it as a proxy to invest in crypto. And by any means, that's if you have an expectation of that utility increasing and more flows going through, then that will drive the price. I know it's sort of been erratic in recent months and days in terms of the price, but at the end of the day, like, we're not following the price as is. We're trying to kind of connect with more partners overseas. We're trying to connect more, open up more corridors. We're trying to get more clients to use our product through our website or through other Ripple partners, and that's what's needed really to drive the success of Ripple. Just talking about some elusive number or some technical charts, etc. It's entertaining, but it doesn't really solve anything. So for me, in this whole space, like, what I'm looking for is utility, and for me, only Ripple gives that utility that we need, and but other people have other viewpoints and what utility or use case they seek, and that's what they're going after.
How many market makers are there approximately in the XRP space?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Just kind of curious. Yeah, that part of the business is always just most curious for me. And yeah, let me go back to my questions here. What is the best thing about being a Ripple partner?
Look, I think everything. It's just an interesting engagement. It's highly the space has developed and is developing such a rapid pace the last few years, the last few months. Great people like yourself and some other people, enthusiasts that like what Ripple does, and the company itself, everyone in there, having been to Swell now the second time last year, just it's an amazing company, it's amazing technology. We've been believing in what it can do, can achieve for a long time, and continue to believe. And yes, it's never a straight line. There's always ups and downs, and certain things might not immediately work as perfect as they should be. But it's just that's life. So we're part of that journey, and we're going along, and we're happy to be be able to go with Ripple on this journey with them, but also for us with FlashFX.
Yeah, you really, I know but I think everybody is real appreciative of you taking this position in a very early stage. So I'm sure that there are tons of people who want to thank you for that. And it's exciting for you to be a part of history too. I think it's really, really great. Okay, I am going to ask you then, we asked about that, helping other banks and credit unions. And yeah, did you have to get any special permission from the regulators or the government bodies in Australia to use Ripplenet?
So we have been licensed by ASIC, the local Australian regulator. And when we've gone through the process with them, Ripple was part of our license agreement. So Ripple was called in. They tried to understand really what Ripple is and what Ripple does. So from, we just to make more sense, cryptocurrencies is still not a financial product. It's not that we have a crypto license or anything like that. Doesn't exist in Australia. But it's more we're doing a license activity in making payments, doing foreign exchange, etc. So it was all trying to understand really what Ripple is for, technology, how we sort of operate. That's sort of what we are allowed to do, and we report all our transactions to the regulator, which is Austrac in that case. So we're sort of part of like any financial institutions. Yes, we had some specific process because we sort of been going through that registration or licensing before Ripple was sort of on the broader map. But now to sort of be on RCL or Ripplenet, that wasn't a specific approval that we gone through.
For using ODL, the on-demand liquidity of XRP, they didn't have any extra questions or didn't take any persuading on your part?
We have been reporting all our transactions, like as we have in the past. For us being on ODL, it doesn't change anything. It's nothing new in that regard.
Okay, that's good, because that's an issue that some people think is that the reason why it's being held back in terms of its mass adoption of use is because a lot of the regulators say, But for you, you found that you didn't have that pushback at all.
Look, I think, yes, we do need more global certainty, more buy-in from various institutions. Australia is still, somewhat, small country in the global aspect, and we need more of that certainty to drive further adoption, and that's a path that Ripple has been on for quite some while. Like if you look at, how the board is put together, what sort of high-profile people you have in the US. Trying to drive that collaboration with government, with those institutions. I think that's paramount and will, be the game changer at some point.
Yeah, it's a lot of education, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just, you can't just, come up with a product like others might have. I don't want to say any names, and just kind of it's easy to do because you scare people. So it will take time to build that trust, to have that understanding, to show that it's done the right way. And I think, in my mind, I agree that's the only way forward.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Let's ask this one more. Yeah, so how many ODL corridors do you think there will be in 2020?
It's a tough one. Look, I don't know how many we have now. I mean, there's US, Mexico, a lot of corridors, endpoints to the Philippines, and I'm sure there will be a lot more coming in more. Australia is one now in more major markets. We hope something in the US that we can connect to. For us, we have a lot of payments into the US, and it would be great to have that. Similar to Europe and the UK. So a lot of the corridors where there's lots of payments going into. I know the next question will be, when Japan is up and running, and the fact question, I'm not quite sure. Like even if we can connect to someone in Japan, we're probably not going to be the first destinations. So then might only be the second or third one. If and when that comes. But then again, like, I'm not sure about the timeline, who's coming first, and how many really are out there. And I think the same as everyone else, like Ripple will announce when they are available, and like we might know a bit beforehand in connecting to those. But then again, I think that's it's not our place to announce any corridors or timelines.
But it could be Thailand or Vietnam or Singapore. One of those could be one of the new ones with Japan, possibly. Yeah, but I'm just kind of, yeah, no, it's okay. I just want to know, like in 2020, though, I think we have Australia, we have Philippines, we have Mexico, and we know from Mr. Garlinghouse that they are testing the real in Brazil, right? That's the test. And maybe possibly it's live, but we don't know officially. So in 2020, do you think, I mean, realistically, you don't have to tell me. I just want to know, are we going to see like 10 or 15, or is it actually possible to hang on either end of those corridors or those countries? If you get one country, you can basically make a corridor between two. 20 countries, is it possible?
I think, yes, someone will hold me accountable for that, but I think it is possible. To have those numbers, like you start with 1 and 2, you learn from the integration, what's gone wrong, you make sure any mistakes, errors are nutted out, and I think the time it takes for an existing Ripplenet user to be enabled for ODL once destination is there will increase or will decrease, and you can have more destinations or originating countries being available on ODL. So yes, I think that's possible. For us, like as I said, it's difficult to say because we've sort of been on that journey for a long time. But it shouldn't be too difficult for those 300 Ripplenet users or those who are live introduction to turn on ODL. Like once you're connected. Starting to use ODL is becoming less difficult.
Do you think there's enough? Are there enough market makers out there to service those 300 plus partners?
Look, with more, I think the question is more. The more volume is going through, that will attract more market makers.
Yeah.
Or more institutional market makers to wanting to be part of handling some of those flows.
Yeah.
I think that's the That's really reality.
Yeah, they don't want to get stuck with piles of XRP that nobody wants. So I understand in order for them to want to take a pile, they have to make sure that there are people who want it. Yeah, I understand. Okay, let's see. We are at, you said that ODL is coming on to Japan. We kind of covered that. So let's go to the next one. Some people say Ripple customers, partners, or users are actually paid to use XRP. I mean, we get, unfortunately, this is a very tribal kind of, it's getting less toxic, I think, but there is a little bit of a my project is better than your project. And there's a lot of people who say, oh, Ripple just paid you to use XRP. And how do you address that kind of statement?
Look, it's hard to do. It's kind of for us. We wanted to use Ripple, from the for a long time, and like we see the value. We have our own. Like we still use Swift.
Mm-hmm.
We now use ODL. We have our own integration that we had from day one on Ledger, where we're using XRP. But we've started using. It's more a customer demand that the customer said that they wanted to, send money or send XRP to more exchanges other than just Bitstamp. And yes, then you are, making that available, and you work it out in the background. I can't get into details like where people have a different view and think another project, another coin is better than XRP.
Yeah, I'm not going down that road. But
I'm not trying to kind of convince you. Like you have to find out and see what works for your use case.
But it was a financial decision for you, right? I mean, you're actually saving money, and the customers, the users, are saving money, right?
Well, ultimately, that's you want to bring down, increase your efficiency, bring down transactional costs, bring down your operational costs. I think there's many different reasons why this is taking place and the journey we're on. And yes, it will take time to have more and more corridors, more and more users using the network. But in my mind, the future looks bright, and people should be positive. And see really it's the long game that people have to play here, or to sort of take a view. I think that's the main point.
Yeah, I just am trying to come up with those types of, it's important for you as an ODL user to actually say that I use this product because it allows me to be more competitive, and it allows me to save money, and I can pass on that savings on to my customer. I mean, I guess that's I think what I guess I'm hoping an ODL user says, because we get a lot of pushback from people who say, oh, that's just, it's a scam. XRP is a scam, and that's why your comment is so important to the people who don't believe it is a scam.
Yeah, look, it's not a scam. It's also a real world problem. It's also a real use case, a use case that I've been, believing in for a long time. Yes, again, it's not, a straight line, and Ripple itself, the number of products and how it's been, if you go back a year, 2 years, you sort of had 3 different products that are not necessarily communicating with each other, and now it's sort of merging into one product and be more flexible. That once you are on Ripplenet, and it will be easier to connect to ODL or enable ODL without any further integration. When a bank or an organization has more certainty around the regulatory aspects, more positive around the risk appetite in using XRP as digital asset, that they can turn on with us, anyone even knowing. It just it happens. It just becomes a smoother process in integrating and enabling participants using ODL.
Yeah, I imagine that being one of the first, you had to be not a guinea pig, but sort of like a guinea pig to get a lot of the bugs worked out and get kind of a workflow schematic in place so that other people can follow and get live on a much quicker basis. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes and no. I think we've sort of been a bit extreme in how we've been using it, but it was sort of when we started to engage with Ripple, that was before the change in strategy around focusing more on larger institutions, and we sort of still been using it as is, and sort of now coming back into the fold and using the more official products. And I think that's the right way for us. It's ready for mass distribution. That institutions can use it, and ultimately as a consumer, as you use NPP for a local payment where it just happens and you don't question how. That's the same thing as I want to send money to Japan, to you, Ari. It just happens. It becomes a seamless process. That's what we're trying to do.
It's nice. Well, we got through all the questions. I'm going to let you make any closing statement you like, but if I had just one tiny thing, what do you think the price action is coming from today? No idea.
I'm not going there. Look, yeah.
It's just kind of nice. It's nice to see a little bit of this green. It's quite nice. Yeah. And, I would imagine the market makers are happy too, because I think when they have, when there is price action, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it gives those market makers a chance to participate into that movement, which gives them opportunity to make some profit. If something doesn't move at all, it's not very exciting for the market makers, I would imagine. So they too want to see a little bit of movement so that they have chance to project and hedge and make their spreads a little bit more interesting, don't you think?
Yes and no. I think even with an asset that might not move as much for a market maker who lives on a bit and ask spreads, they want volume. As long as there is volume going through, they still can make money.
Well, they don't really care.
So it doesn't. It's not just by going up or down that how well or how good that these market makers might feel. Yes, it can help as an underlying asset they hold, but in terms of to make money, they can make money off the flow.
Yeah. It's probably actually less work for them if the price is stable. It's probably more work for them when the price is moving, I'm sure. So you got through all my questions beautifully, and I just think it's great. Please just leave us with any of your closing comments.
Look, I think just keep believing in Ripple, keep believing in the solution that is out there. Yes, it will take some time to develop new destinations in 2020. It will come, and keep believe that this is the right way. And happy for everyone to join this journey.
Yeah, thanks. And again, thank you for being one of the first to really pioneer this technology and to be one of the very first ODL users. It means a lot, I think, to everybody who's been following this project. So thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right. Please take care and take care with those fires.
Cool.
All right. Bye, Nicolas. See you later.